Hey, Eddie. All right. I'm getting, I've set this task to myself to stick on this one topic because I believe in it. I'm going to come across maybe a little negative. I don't mean to be, but I'm tired of waiting. I have to admit that. I cannot see a single reason for the company to delay, but we are now at 12,369,467 shares, 12,369,467 shares, which is excellent. And I think we're going to be well rewarded. But I'm tired of waiting. I haven't been able to get any input into why there's a delay. Today is Wednesday. My guess is nothing happens today, so it'll be next week. And I think for our psychological health, we just have to plan maybe on October, because we're now, if it's next week, let me just look at my calendar. If it's next week, we're almost through the end of September. And so just psychologically, get ready for it to be October 1 for some reason. I have no idea why attorneys would disservice their client this poorly. But what can you do? I've dealt with attorneys before, and they just do not care about the market. They don't. I'm just telling you that. Attorneys do not see market timing, market risk as relevant to their job. On the other hand, it could be that the deal is getting better, but I think that's too, that's just, I just think that's me talking to myself. I think the attorneys can say, you know what, the business people can say, you know what, yes, everything's getting better, but file the darn thing as of September 15th, and we'll update it. We'll update it in 2 weeks. But let's get this show on the road. That's how I'm feeling today. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't change any of my feelings. Don't change the facts that Railtown is probably going to come out of the gate with, I don't know, 25 to 50 million in revenue that's visible, rapidly growing, I think, by the end of the year. I'm talking about visible, going forward, projectable annual recurring revenues. I think by the end of the year, they'll be at 150 million, 200 million. That's huge. That's huge. You've got a multi-billion-dollar stock at that point. But as long as it's in the docket with the attorneys, nothing's going to happen. Nothing. And the attorneys will earn their $3,000 an hour, and you and I and other investors will, I guess, be pleased by their workmanship. I don't know what to tell you. All right, enough frustration. Let's talk about the good things. Let's see what's happening. on the good side of everything. I think I might have to sign in. I do. I always forget that to sign in before I go live because I usually am using this computer that I'm talking to you on. And watch, I forgot the number. No, I didn't. Okay, so what's happening in our neighborhood? GDC's up 56 cents to 7.55. But to me, the volume doesn't indicate anything yet. It doesn't give confidence to me. But I'm not trying to judge it one way or the other. If you want to follow GDC, the best way to get information on that is to listen to Ham on Twitter or to listen to Dirty Randy, or I mean, read Dirty Randy on Twitter. And I'm sure there's other sources as well. I did note, and maybe I took a picture to show you, that they are going to increase their authorized shares to 200 million, and they are creating 20 million in preferred shares. I don't know if that matters to you or to the story. Really, I don't. Uh, uh, on the face of it, it's a pretty simple arithmetic task to figure out that, you got whatever, $800 million worth of Bitcoin, and maybe that's worth something. But I don't know, something. If I, by the way, I could have easily purchased 25,000 Bitcoin, 50,000, 75,000. I didn't. It would have been 12 years ago, 15 years ago. It was like 85 cents, believe it or not. Before anybody heard about it, I was listening to Max Kaiser and his wife, soon to be wife. I can't remember her name. I'd be, I'd be a billionaire right now. But I don't get why call it $1 billion worth of Bitcoin is discounted by half. There's something that I don't understand. But please, if you're interested in that stock, follow him, follow Dirty Randy. Our stock's down 2 cents, 45 cents on the bid, 46 cents on the ask, and the attorneys don't give a damn. They do not give a damn. I'm sorry it's painful, but you have to focus on that Railtown. You're buying at a seed valuation of 50 cents. I think as soon as the attorneys get off their asses and release the news, I think it goes to $1.50. And I don't know what news will come out afterward. I would imagine there could be revenue news. There could be earnings news at some point, maybe toward the end. There could be a new deck. I mean, I don't know, but I think it's going to stair step upward very rapidly. But unfortunately, until the attorneys release the documents, nothing happens. Nothing. And you got to pay them. When they submit their bill, you got to pay them. It's torture. It's torture. But I have no leverage. I have no leverage. I'm sure there's a reason why it's taking so long. It could be that one of the people who signed the original deal had a heart attack and he can no longer sign and they got to find his wife. Or it could be that they had such a huge new offer in on some deal, they had to rewrite everything. But they have to stay silent, zip their lip. The criminals can continue to punish, and the attorneys don't care. Maybe the attorneys are in cahoots with the shorts. I don't know. It's a really shitty system out there. And it's a great methodology for shorts to make money. I mean, today it's only 124,000 shares, but the stock was as high as 47 and as low as, oh, it really hasn't traded that much today. The range is basically 47 today. But if the close yesterday was, it hasn't really done much, but it shows down 2 cents on 500 shares. So 500 shares has it down 2 cents. It's just we've got to look beyond this. I know we're impatient. I know we'd like to see something for our efforts, but I'm telling you, I cannot get the attorneys to do jack shit. And apparently the company can't either. Apparently the company, whose livelihood depends on it, can't get the attorneys to act. I can't explain it. I just can't explain it. I cannot explain it. You've got attorneys at Railtown. You've got attorneys at AI Partners. You've got attorneys at 165 companies. You've got attorneys that represent different major investors. You may have attorneys that represent the investment bank, and they can't get anything done. Why do they earn $3,000 an hour if they can't do anything? I don't get it. All right, let's move on. I'm frustrated. Finger is up 3 cents at 159. Energy Vault is up 11 cents at 236. Mountain is down 29 cents at 1182. GDC again is up almost 50 cents at 746. We're waiting on the Federal Reserve to make their decision. I'm going to guess the woman that Trump has fired, I don't think she has a vote. There's one guy that wants to become the chair, and I think he'll vote for 50 basis points. Yeah, I don't know. There may be, let's see what this article says. Again, by Tyler Durden earlier today. The Federal Reserve is widely expected to cut 25 basis points at Wednesday's meeting today to get in the range of 4 to 4.25%. There is a small probability that it could go to 50 basis points. And that's what I'm wondering about. Are they going to just go ahead and do 50 basis points? I don't think they'll do 0, although that's what I think they should do. But what's going to matter to me is what they say they're going to do for the rest of the year and what they're looking at next year. That's what's going to be important. Today is already priced in at 25 basis points. I even think 50 basis points is pretty much priced in. So it's going to be their talk. What do they say about what interest rates will be, let's say, by the end of the year or in 2026? The Federal Open Market Committee is widely expected to cut its target rate by 25 bips, taking it to 4 to 4.25. 105 out of 107 surveyed expect this to be the case, but the remaining 2 expect 50 bips. There is a possibility of some opting to keep rates unchanged. JP Morgan sees 25 basis point cut, but with 2 to 3 potential dovish dissenters looking for 50. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. Trump's over in Italy. Over in the UK. And I guess he's having a good meetings there. Um, Hang on just a second. It looks like FedEx is at the front door. Let me just go see if they are there. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. I guess it was a false alarm. I guess it was a false alarm. So sorry about that. Goldman Sachs is saying the AI trade is getting crowded. They're talking about the Mag 7 basically, or the Mag 5 it's down to. Um, um, National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has stated that the Gaza Strip is a, quote, real estate bonanza, unquote. I think it's the oil and the new canal. Smotrich claimed to be in talks with America on how to divide up the bounty once they destroy, kill, or evacuate all Palestinians. The real estate bonanza will pay for itself, and we have already started negotiations with the Americans. We have poured a lot of money into this war. It's not a war. We have to see how we are dividing up the land in percentages. The demolition, the first stage, and the city's renewal, we have already done. Now we just need to build. Count me out. Count America out. We don't need the blood profit. Demand for gold is starting to show some weakness. That'll be interesting. Let's see what that says. This is Simon White, Bloomberg. Higher prices may be beginning to deter demand for gold in Asia. It's now $3,700. The key will be how central banks proceed. Everything looks parabolic, darn it. That was our chance. A Fed cut today would be almost unprecedented. I saw that article. It's not that interesting. Well, we'll see what happens at 2 o'clock. We will see what happens at 2. Spirit Air flies close to Air Force One. Wow. I wonder who was flying it. A DEI hire? Yeah, there's not a lot of news out there today. So let me get to your question. Ackerman explodes at Charlie Kirk Israel blackmail claim. Yeah, this Ackerman. Teenage golf ace collapses and dies. Too young. Robert Redford's neighbors reveals stars 5 years of deep sadness. Yeah, I can believe it. An asteroid the size of New York, well, of a New York skyscraper, is headed toward Earth in just hours. I wish I had my book from Graham Hancock. I would read it to you. It's scary. Where there's this asteroid section that the Earth is going through now in these few years. And it started 2 or 3 years ago. And it's twice a year. And it's scary stuff because it's his contention, to my memory, that it happens every 3,600 years. It might be a different period of time, but whatever the period of time is, we're back in it. And I don't think we can tell when these things are going to hit us. Thank God for Jupiter. Paris Hilton slams media that called her a bimbo 20 years ago. Well, I'll leave it to you. She might be a rich bimbo. All right, let's look at prices and I'll check some of I hope there's some comments that give me some things to talk about because I've run out of things to say about Railtown. I'm extremely positive on Railtown. I think it's $55 next year, maybe first quarter next year. But I can't help with this daily torture of the attorneys waddling around, calling each other and saying, should we use the split infinitive on page 325, or should we go with a more action-oriented word? I can guess. There's no action-oriented words in those attorneys' vocabulary. Energy Vault is up 8.5 cents. Finger is up 4 cents. GDC is up 51.4 cents. Railtown remains down 2 cents. But let's see if there's any volume. Still, same 500 shares traded at 11.44, and that's it for Railtown. 500 shares traded, according to my service. 3 hours ago, well, sorry, that would be 2 hours ago, right? No, 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago, 500 shares traded. And we have to sit here while the attorneys examine each other's navels to make sure all the lint has been removed before they put on their shirt and go into public. I mean, it's an amazing experience. Absolutely amazing experience. I'm so glad I never became an attorney. So glad. Could you imagine being paid 2 or 3 or 400,000 a year to be ineffective, to just do nothing, never produce a thing, just regurgitate and create documents and then check and got to get this and spell check and grammar check and legal check and it's just hell. It's just hell. I hope that Conductor comes up with an AI attorney app that replaces the whole lot of them. All right, so I guess that's it for the news so far today. We've got 8 minutes or so until the Fed lets us know. I'm gonna guess 0, 25, or 50. 0, 25, or 50, or 75. I'm gonna guess I guess it'll just be the expectation. It'll just be 25. But part of me wants to say it'll be 0 or 50, but I can't do it. I just can't do it to myself. I have to go with the consensus, 25 basis points. I read Barron's this weekend on one of my flights, I guess. Or no, I was on the way to the doctor's office, and there were a couple things I wanted to share with you, but I didn't. There was one article. When companies gain from reverse stock splits, investors often lose out. By Bill Alpert. Many successful companies do stock splits to make their shares more affordable for retail. Hundreds of struggling companies are doing reverse stock splits to lift their flagging stock prices above $1 needed to stay on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange. Reverse stock splits don't change a company's actual value. They aren't in and of themselves harmful, but outside shareholders can suffer because reverse splits are often accompanied with heavy issuance of discounted stock, convertible notes, and other securities to financiers. See, they know what's going on, and others who sell them and cause the stock price to spiral downward. They miss out. The selling starts early. They don't believe how corrupt their markets are. While a traditional stock split divides an expensive stock into multiple shares, lowering the share price, a reverse split does the opposite. It combines many shares into one, raising the share price. We'll go to that if we run out of things to talk about. Hi, Eddie. VO Warrior, Smile Author, Sit Up Author, People Work Here. Smile Arthur, later on we'll get ice cream. I wouldn't know. I'm just the butler. But on the other hand, go screw yourself. Marty Party, how are you? VO Warrior. I don't feel very machine-like, VO. William is still a machine. I don't feel very machine-like. I almost didn't come on today, but we just gotta keep going forward. KBO, as Winston Churchill said, keep buggering on because the value's there. I don't think the attorneys mean to harm us. I just think they're clueless. I just think they're clueless. And even once they announce the news, it may take a while for the market to process everything. It may take a few days or a week or two. We may still have to wait then. But what I want to see is the quiet period, the prohibition against buying shares by people who have a lot of money, a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight, are professionals, and will buy the stock to counteract the criminals. And then we'll see I believe, a sharp uprise in the price of the stock. But none of it can get started until the attorneys finish their opus. I don't know, what do you call it? The opus? It's your life product. This must be the best piece of work they've ever done, and they just don't want to hand it in yet because they don't want anything wrong in it. I don't know. I was going to say Opus Dei, but that's not it. Opus Magnum Opus. Anyway, they're great. They're their best piece of work in their lifetime. Hi, DMAC. Good to see you too, even though I don't see you. I only see my ugly mug. Hey, account settings, how are you? Did you get a chance to go through Brendan, I guess, email yesterday about conductor subscription, etc.? Eager to hear your thoughts on it. I forgot to go get that. I might be able to get them. Let me go through this. If I go now, I might lose a lot of comments. So, Fred Jones, stop yelling. We are not the attorneys. True enough. I shouldn't. I didn't realize I was yelling. I'm sorry, Fred. I'm sorry. I know you're not it. I'm just frustrated. Now tell me why I should buy this stock. Is it another finger of GNS? Those were supposed to rocket. Oh, Lord. Are you a real person, Fred? This is not GNS. Genius was a guy that came in here with a British accent and dyed hair, claiming that fighting the shorts was his billion-dollar fight. In reality, in my opinion, all he wanted to do was raise money, which he did, and he's set for life. I think Genius Brands is not anything special. I haven't looked at it lately, but I think he did toxic financing, and I'll look up his stock price and we'll see. You can find it in their stock prices. But you have to be willing to go back a few years. Yeah. There is Genius Brands. And you can see when he came in the market and ran it up, got a deal done, and then it's been down ever since. That's Genius Brands. And as you know, Fred Jones, what happens is these groups out there, like Jeff Easton's Lynn Partners, or Ari Rubenstein's Yorkville, or the Kramers, Geneva Roth. Um, Geneva Roth Holdings. And what they do, Fred, as you know, is as soon as the guy from Genius, for example, calls one of them, and I'm sure if I looked up what his financing was, I could give you the exact name of the culprit. But they start shorting the stock, and they do it via hedge funds, and they don't disclose the names. So you've got a bird dog like Jeff Easton getting Genius Brands, the guy with 3 first names, to sign a note, and I think he was in on it. He's an idiot otherwise, and the fund starts shorting the stock. The stock goes down. Now, in this case, first, what Genius Brand did, that guy came into these spaces and he had other people talking about it, and he pumped the stock up first. But then they short it, they do a deal, they crush it, and whether they take their profits right away or they wait for a year or two or they try to seller box it, it's the giant scheme to steal the market cap. And Genius Brands was a bunch of bullshit, and I called it out at the time it was happening, during the time it was happening. And anyway, Railtown is nothing like Genius Brands. I don't know why you would compare those. I guess because you haven't been paying attention, and maybe you're just lazy, you can't look it up. Genius Brands operates in a field that's highly competitive. It has no advantages. It addresses a market that a lot of people address. It's just crap. But they packaged it well and ran it up and then crushed it. The insiders of the company, that guy with dyed hair and a British accent, he did well. The financiers did well. The short sellers did well. Everyone else got destroyed. And I warned of it. On Finger, Railtown is not Finger. I do think Finger would benefit, and maybe they will do it. Finger would benefit from joining the AI market, because Finger has extra capacity apparently in the cloud. It also has the data laboratory, which has been financed a little bit by themselves, but mostly by the big 2 insurance companies, Pacific Life Re and Munich Re, to use data gleaned from the phone users to maybe create a market for reinsurance in China. And that could be exciting to use it with AI. China's technology market is recovering now, particularly in the AI field. They have energy, everything from renewable to coal to nuclear powered energy. They have data centers. It could be something that Finger could get into. But I think Finger is in a highly competitive market. So Finger has to distinguish itself by the trust it's built up. And I think it has built up a lot of trust. So I think there's some good things for Finger maybe next year as they roll into maybe AI. what I think Finger may have missed out on, but I'm not in the boardrooms, is they have this command and control contract, which is to use data for what apparently is a exclusive countrywide contract to provide vehicles using satellite and other hookup for emergency response and other type government and I guess even local responses to emergencies and etc. I think they could have ramped that up more quickly. They didn't, but that doesn't mean that's not a profitable contract. And we may see the revenue from that contract, I guess, in our fourth quarter this year or sooner. And that could be very interesting for Finger. I think Finger has pulled back to a price that makes it a reasonable I don't know, time to accumulate. But I do think the next 2 to 3 months of Finger's stock price could be subject to a financing at a discount to the current price. And so that could be frustrating because they could do an offering at $1.25 or $1. But I don't know. I have no information on that. They do not make money yet that we know of, and they need money. So they have a burn rate. But they have a great investor group. I think the company is well run. And like I say, technology in China is picking back up. And who knows? There could be, if Finger Motion can get through the next 90 days to maybe 5 months, I think next year could be very good for it. But Finger Motion did give you, Fred Jones, an opportunity to trade it several times and to make money in it. But Railtown is not Finger Motion. I don't know. Where do you come up with this? Is Railtown, is Railtown Spirit Airlines? Is Railtown Trump Casinos? Is Railtown? Why don't you just pick anything out of your rear end and throw it against the wall and see if it sticks? It doesn't make any sense, Fred. Railtown's a completely different story. But if you're so lazy, I've spent at least 3 months, 4 months, every single day talking about it. If you're so lazy and you come up with a picayune question like that, please don't be offended if it sounds like I'm yelling. What is Railtown? Railtown's a Canadian company. It's not an over-the-counter company. Railtown was founded approximately 5 years ago, 6 years ago. They did apparently take over for lack of a better word, a shell. It might have had something in it, I don't know. And they changed the name to Railtown AI Technologies, I think in 2019. Two guys came together, Marwan Haddad and Corey Brandolini. There's other founders, but those were the two main guys. And they both had been in software development for the entirety of their careers. They knew, and I think they had worked together before, but they knew that software development was subject to a major risk, which was errors and bugs, and poorly written software could take an entire company's software system down. It could open it up to security risks from invasion from outside, and it could essentially collapse the company. And you've seen many examples of that. And I can't remember any of them right now, but AT&T and other companies had data breaches, and this is a risk. So what they came up with is, why don't we create an AI, artificial intelligence? And remember, so far as I know, Finger's not artificial intelligence. They may get there. Genius Brands isn't, but I'm sure he'll bring the buzzword in to sucker people in so we can have another bite of the apple. That's my opinion. But Railtown is artificial intelligence. And they decided, why don't we create an artificial intelligence software tool that allows development teams to implement that tool, and that tool can go into the company's data vertically, not across all of the whole web, but specific to a designated company software, go in and locate the risk, the bug, and the potential for software security breaches or shutdown, and fix it. So they designed that. And their goal was, we want to create an AI solution early. We want to be early. We want to be ready for what James Altucher calls AI 2.0. But these two guys, Marwan Haddad and Corey Brandolini, decided, let's create this to fix the problem of when development teams used to have clanging, I can't say it, alarm bells ringing, screaming, to, hey, all hands on deck, we got to fix this problem. Let's create software that'll do it for us. Also, let's create software that allows teams to focus on developing new software rather than repeating the mundane tasks over and over and over and over again. So their commitment was to create this AI genetic, and they have some patented processes early, so it was ready for AI 2.0. What is AI 2.0? Basically, AI 2.0 is to take the next step in AI. AI 1.0 was a combination of two things: putting out consumer AI, ChatGPT, Grok, and those kind of things, so that people got used to it. But AI 1.0 was also about gathering all the information into the large language models. Railtown uses all that, I guess, but what they wanted to focus on is agentic AI, which is different than large language models. It's vertical, and it only goes through what the company's software data and systems have, instead of having to process the entire internet. It's self-learning, it's proprietary, it's first to market, it's state-of-the-art, and it is battle-tested, to use Corey Brandolini's words. They already are generating revenue, although we don't know how much. And I know you don't want me to yell at you, Fred, because you're not the attorney, and I agree with that. But I get frustrated because on February 11th, you wouldn't know this because you're comparing the company to Roger Rabbit, of all people, a non-serious guy, in my judgment. But on February 11th, Railtown announced that they were going to acquire AI Partnerships Corp. So Railtown created 4 products: Conductor, Rail Tracks, Lang Tracks, and Shredder. And they also created this other product that is useful for development teams. I'm not sure it's software, but it combines everything. So they have the first to market product that does the things I said. It also can translate anything, any source of data, whether it's a Microsoft product, an Amazon product, whether it's verbal, whether it's handwritten, they can process data, they can translate it, and it goes through all sorts of problem solving that other AI products haven't gotten to. So it's huge. The addressable market, Fred, unlike Genius Brands, unlike Finger Motion, the addressable market for Railtown, depending on which number you want to use, on their website from a year ago, one aspect of their addressable market is $25 billion a year. Another aspect of their market is $125 billion per year. If you listen to the video presentations by Corey Brandolini a year ago, the annual spend on AI software by corporations will be $300 billion. $300 billion. That's the addressable market. Morgan Stanley recently came out, and their 3 different analysts had different targets, but it's depending on who you listen to of their group, it's a $1 trillion addressable market over the next 2 years, or a $3 trillion addressable market over the next 3 years. So Railtown, first to market, has an opportunity to come in guns a-blazing. This capital research a year ago came up with an addressable market of $3 billion. And they used a 3% penetration rate in the United States, 0.5% elsewhere, and a 20% dilution number on shares. And they used a 12x on revenue. And they came up with a target of $2 a share just on Railtown a year ago. Well, on February 11th, Fred, I thank you for doing no work on this and asking a stupid question. But I'll show you. Railtown announced, I just got to find it. There's so many, there have been a lot of announcements since, but they announced, there, 7 months ago, Railtown AI Technologies announces a memorandum of understanding. Now, what happens when computers, algorithms for the shorts, read MOU, and there's 3 kinds of shorts. There's the ones that try to steal the whole market cap. There's the ones that opportunistically day trade. And there's the ones, for lack of a better word, that swing trade. But all of them use computers and they punish thousands of companies. When they see MOU to acquire, they start selling. So there is a large short position established in Railtown. I don't view it as a short squeeze candidate, but it explains why the stock has been suppressed. Also, on February 11th, 2025, Fred Jones, Railtown AI Technologies announced a memorandum of understanding to acquire AI Partnerships Corp. This immediately froze all buying from knowledgeable investors, insider buying, and buyers that have a lot of money to put to work in this space. Because if they've been informed of this deal, or if they know information which can be determined to be material inside information, they can't buy. So you have a combination, Fred, of no buying from the knowledgeable and a lot of selling from guys like you on the short side of the market. I assume that's you because you come in with this FUD type question. But anyway, let me read this to you. I think, why not? Because you're so lazy and you're so probably busy destroying other companies that you haven't had time to digest this news. Vancouver, British Columbia, February 11th, 2025. Railtown AI Technologies, Inc., Canadian, but also traded on the over-the-counter RLAIF, Railtown AI, is pleased to announce it has executed a memorandum of understanding for the acquisition of AI Partnerships Corp. This is unlike Finger. This is unlike Genius Brands. Or AIP, a Toronto-based company that has established an affiliate network of over 160 primarily North American AI service as a software companies who provide AI-based vertical market solutions and AI development and management tools. And by the way, Fred, at the same time this announcement, almost the same time this announcement came out, on Twitter, a very credible source posted that those 160 companies are doing $400 million in revenue. Now, that's not saying that AIP, the network, the full name is AI Partnerships Corp., which has established the affiliate network. The AI Partnership Corp. Isn't doing that yet. They're the organizer. But the network of 160 companies who have 5,000 clients at the time of this are doing $400 million in revenue. And as you will see, Fred Jones, the idea is to roll up these companies into AI partnerships. But now Railtown's buying them. The acquisition will create a dynamic organization that drives substantial revenue growth and scales enterprise AI solutions worldwide. AIP's affiliate network operates in 13 countries and delivers AI-based solutions to a diverse client base across multiple industries, including fintech, healthcare, manufacturing, supply chain management, and sector agnostic applications as well. The combination of Railtown AI and AIP is expected to provide both organizations with an opportunity to leverage what? To leverage Railtown AI's Conductor product. That's what Railtown spent 4 or 5 years developing. And the stock is still priced in that development price range. Railtown AI's Conductor product as a platform of choice. Conductor product as a platform of choice for AI application development by AIP's current and future affiliates and their end users. In other words, cross-selling across that entire network. Railtown has gone from an R&D company to a company commercializing its product. Now, on AIP, one of the fundamental objectives in the establishment of AIP's affiliate network was to allow AIP to identify and acquire the best affiliates as part of a broader strategic roll-up strategy, Fred Jones. And one of the reasons I get frustrated is guys like you are able to do FUD and inane questions while the attorneys get nothing done. That's why I get frustrated. But I'll try to answer your question. The transaction is expected to provide the resulting entity, in other words, the combined company, NewCo, with a public structure with access to capital. As the combined company executes its affiliate acquisition strategy, AIP's established affiliate network provides a significant opportunity to grow recurring revenue streams through affiliate acquisitions, which could be enhanced by deploying Railtown AI's proprietary technologies across the entirety of the affiliate network and its customers. Key drivers of revenue growth include affiliate acquisition. The combined company plans to acquire select high-performing affiliates, and as a result of combining their product offerings, this will provide a rich suite of vertical market AI-based applications and development tools in order to meet the needs of enterprise clients. Further, platform integration. Railtown's AI Conductor platform could streamline AI development for the affiliates and their enterprise clients, which would increase both adoption and productivity, and expanded partnerships with relationships already in place with major technology and partners, including Mila, that's a government, quasi-government think tank, basically, in Canada that provides capital and knowledge for the AI industry in Canada, which is the focus of the Canadian government, both in the provinces and at the national level, to create Canada as one of the powerhouses worldwide in AI because of Canada's access to cheap energy. So anyway, they will expand partnerships with relationships already in place with major technology partners, including Mila, Amy, again, a government, a quasi-government think tank, and capital provider, solutions provider, Microsoft, NVIDIA, AMD, and the University of British Columbia. The company will continue to leverage these partnerships to accelerate enterprise sales and product innovation. Nothing in the story of Genius Brands, or even for that matter, Finger, can compare for the amount of support and the intellectual and financial resources provided by these large companies and the Canadian government. Then recurring enterprise revenue, the integration of AI-based vertical market applications along with AI development and management tools and services across the affiliate network is anticipated to drive strong recurring revenue growth from long-term enterprise contracts. In fact, that statement is buttressed by the fact they've already announced 4 of those long-term enterprise relationships. They just haven't been able to announce the contracts because they're in the quiet period while the attorneys write up the LOI. So there's room for your FUD. Quote, this acquisition represents a transformative moment for both Railtown AI and AI Partnerships Corp. By combining our Conductor platform with AIP's extensive affiliate network and enterprise partnerships, we are creating a powerhouse that will drive significant revenue growth and deliver innovative AI solutions to businesses worldwide. The opportunities ahead are immense. We are poised to expand our reach, to scale enterprise sales, and to accelerate innovation across industries. Together, we will shape the future of artificial intelligence in ways that unlock long-term value. And that's the thing here, Fred. This isn't for hot money. Long-term value for our shareholders, customers, and partners, said Corey Brandolini, CEO of Railtown AI. Another quote, from its inception, AIP set out to assemble the largest network of AIP solutions organizations that provide a diverse package of AI solutions that meet the needs of enterprises in industry sectors that realize significant rates of return on investment from the adoption of AI-based application solutions. We found, listen to this closely, Fred, after 160 companies that they screened and had joined their network, when Railtown joined the network, which they did in November, we found Railtown's Conductor had broad deployment relevance across the entirety of our network. We are excited to actualize our public market vision as we seek to commence with an aggressive targeted affiliate acquisition mandate upon the conclusion of this exciting transaction, unquote, stated Dr. Tom Core, CEO of AI Partnerships Corp. So they're saying on February 11th that they intend to pursue an aggressive, targeted acquisition of the network companies, the best of the best. And remember, Fred, they're doing 400 million, these 160 companies, in annual recurring revenue. Imagine if you apply the 80-20 rule. 20% of these companies are probably doing 80% of the revenue. They're going to target those immediately upon the conclusion of this transaction. And the attorneys can't finish it. And I know you're not the attorney, Fred. To facilitate the acquisition transaction, Canaccord Genuity Corp has been engaged as exclusive financial advisor and lead agent to the company in connection with the acquisition transaction and any concurrent financing. Both companies, this is on February 11th, both companies are working toward finalizing a letter of intent to formalize the acquisition in the coming weeks. Well, you can see a source of frustration, Freddie. 7 months later, it's not finished. The acquisition is expected to position the company to be able to capitalize on the rapidly expanding demand for AI solutions in key sectors. The ability to provide enterprise clients with a fully integrated suite of AI tools and services gives the organization a strong competitive advantage in both domestic and international markets. The leadership teams at Railtown AI and AIP are aligned in their vision to create long-term value. And we'll just, Fred, I know you've been busy in your life, and you seriously compare this company to the poser with the 3 first names at Genius Brands? Here's one of the founders at AIP, Michael Noribrega, and he was CEO to OMERS. What's OMERS, you might ask? He was former president and CEO of the Ontario Municipal Employees Retirement System, OMERS, one of Canada's largest pension funds. And he served as the president and CEO of OMERS' wholly owned subsidiary, the Borealis Infrastructure Management, Inc. Also, one of the founders is Dr. Tom Core, who lets his hair go gray. Dr. Core is a former president and CEO of the Ontario Centre for Excellence, and he did that for a decade. He also held the joint position of president and CEO of the Accelerator Center at Waterloo Research and Technology Park, and he was the vice president of commercialization at the University of Waterloo. And then you have Patrick Horgan, a guy that spent his entire career at IBM, and he led AI development in Canada. And then the most exciting to me is John Ruffolo, and you can look him up. I know you're busy and you've got nothing better to do than put questions in the chat to cause fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But if you spend some time Googling John Ruffolo, you will see he is the founder and managing partner of Mavericks Private Equity. But he also was the founder of OMERS Ventures, a company he ran for almost a decade. And it was the venture capital arm of the OMERS Retirement Fund. During this time, he invested a lot of money in 40 technology companies, and they list them from Shopify to Wattpad. There's a bunch of them listed there. They have advisors, Rial Tangeray, 24 years Toyota, Cameron Schuler, at the Vector Institute, career in AI, Ted Zalowski, an angel investor with a focus on AI and technology companies. They have Keith Thomas, a serial entrepreneur in this space. They have another entrepreneur in Shannon Vanstone, and their leadership includes Gary Chan, as CTO and a lot of experience in the IT space. Mark Ellingson, CFO and founder of an AI company. And he's CFO here. Stephen Cuthrell, Vice President of Corporate Development. Bob Alpert, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships. Dorian Marquez, the Marketing Manager. And another salesman, Nicholas Kronke. Now, that I think is a bench at AIP far deeper than anything at Genius Brands. And I think it measures up and perhaps surpasses the management team at Finger. And I cast no aspersions on Finger. Okay, so now let's go. Now let's go to let me just check FedEx. All right, Freddie, I know you're a busy man, so you have to impose on other people to do your work for you. But let's go to Railtown AI's team. There's Marwan Haddad, co-founder. I'll try to be quick. He has 25 years of software development experience, and he was the CTO at Resos, which was sold. And he helped a lot of Fortune 500 companies. He's an electrical engineer. And then there's Corey Brandolini, co-founder, 30 years of experience, Freddie Jones, 20 years in investment banking. And he was a former partner of Telio, Inc., which was sold to Microsoft. He has over, I already read all that to you. Then there's Dr. Elliot Holtham, co-founder. He is former CEO and COO of Extract AI, which was acquired by Patriot One Technologies. He has a PhD from the University of British Columbia in geophysics. Kevin O'Neill, he's a co-founder and the advisory chair. 35 years experience in tech investing. He's a former investment banker at Merrill Lynch. He was CEO of Extract AI, which was acquired by Patriot One Technologies. They have leadership Andy Moak, Senior VP of Product Development, and he's got a great track record. And they've got Matthew Bolton, VP of Engineering, 20 years developing applications and software for big name companies. Yemi Boisa, lead software engineer, 20 years of tech development experience. Chris Gerard, senior software engineer, and he was the former front-end engineer and senior front-end developer for Recess. And then there's Rebecca Kurzweil in investor relations. And there's Paul Woodward, CFO. Paul Woodward, CFO. He has 30 years of experience in capital markets. And they have advisors, Dr. Eldad Haber. He's a professor at the University of British Columbia in computer sciences. Then they have Ali Sanawi, capital advisors, markets advisor, capital markets advisor. He has been in the capital markets for 20 years. Specifically in the micro and mid-cap area. They have Rob Goring, director. He's a serial entrepreneur and technology investment executive. 25 years of experience in leading early stage high growth tech companies. He's the founder and CEO of cybersecurity company Wiser AI. And then you have Ana Maria Perante, the VP of Human Resources at SureWex Global. That's your team. Now, when you look into Railtown AI, here's their partners. This is a more harder to read list than I thought I would find. Obviously, AI Partnership Affiliate Network. AMD, they're partners with AMD. They're partners with MILA, which is the Quebec, Montreal, Artificial Intelligence Institute. They're partners with AMI, which is the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute. And they're also partners with Quisitive Technology, who is part of the Microsoft network. So they're partnerships with, they're in partnership with Microsoft co-sell ready status. They're also in partnership with the Microsoft Partner Network. And since this was written, they're also partners with NVIDIA. So yeah, Freddie, I think Railtown is an entirely different story than a completely different ballpark than Genius Brands. And I think because their addressable market is $300 billion a year, this research report suggests they can get 3% of the market, which I think is very low. But 3% of 300 billion is a big number, as you can imagine. I don't know that you have time to write out, enter 300 billion and multiply that by 3%. That might be hard for you, Freddie, but that's $9 billion in revenue a year. I think that's a little optimistic out of the gate. So if you take 10% of that, just 10% of that, that's 900 million. I don't think you're going to believe that number either. So take 10% of that. That's 90 million in annual recurring revenue for Railtown, just based on Railtown's conductor platform. And this research report was written a year ago. They have a $2 target using 12x. What if you use current multiples, Freddie Jones, instead of comparing this to the BS company, Genius Brands, or to a company that you know has disappointed investors in terms of the hype, Finger Motion? Why don't you compare Railtown to other AI companies recently purchased by Microsoft, by Google, by big companies, other companies which have received $100 million in funding, which, Freddie Jones, if you haven't been watching me, you missed me showing you, and I can try to do it later if you're still around. But the multiples now being paid or invested in for AI software companies in this so-called AI 2.0 space are 100 to 150 to 200x of forward projected annual recurring revenue. So if you take 90 million, let's not use 200x. Let's not use 150x. Let's not use 100x. Let's not use 75x. On the other hand, let's not use 12x. Let's use 50x. Let's use 50x because they'll be rapidly growing. I just showed you the size of the addressable market. That would equate, if you use 200 million shares outstanding, Yahoo says they have 140 million. That would equate to a price, Freddie Jones, of $22.50 a share. That's not hot money, Freddie. That is buy it, ignore all the electricity of the hottest stock to trade. That is Railtown Technologies on its own, a reasonable target for 2026 revenue, just Railtown on its own, $22. Now, what about AIP partners? AIP partnership, the network, has, I can't show you, but it's a credible source. They took it down, and I think it's because of the quiet period. So when the attorneys finish, we can show that again. But 400 million is the revenue of those 160 companies. Let's say they get, I don't know, 150 million rolled up, acquired by the end of this year, 150 million. Could it be less? Could it be more? Sure. But let's start somewhere. And let's say they roll up 150 million, not 400 million. Okay? So why don't we use the exact same 50 multiple, because that revenue will be growing, because obviously they can roll up the remainder, but they'll be attracting other business, and each one of their 160 companies will be growing using Conductor. And we don't know all those numbers yet. We don't know them yet because the attorneys haven't finished. But when they do, we'll start getting some numbers. But let's use 150 million for AIP alone, times 50, divided by 200 million, and you could quibble with that. That's 37 and a half. Let's add the 22 and a half from Conductor itself. That's a $60 target, Freddie Jones, on Railtown AI next year. My own target is $55 by May 5th next year. By 5/5 next year, $55 target on Railtown. So I think it's an entirely different story than Genius Brands. I don't, where do you come up with that? A poser with his dyed hair and his British accent, fighting shorts. This isn't, Railtown isn't a short story. It's not. It's a buy it and maybe never sell it because the company could be bought out by Microsoft or NVIDIA. So, Freddie Jones, that's my summary of it for now. I can go give you comps. You can Google it. I know you're a busy man. You don't have time to simply Google recent AI transactions. I know that's a lot of work for you. I can go through them for you, but the multiples are from 50 to 200x, 100x, 150x. This Railtown is one of the most exciting stories out there, and it's in the AI 2.0 space, an area that analysts at Morgan Stanley say will transform our lives. Mark Andreessen says software is eating the world, and this is a product that all software developers for corporations who want to be ahead of the game in AI are going to need. And the addressable market is gigantic. Totally different than finger motion, totally different than GNS. But thank you, Freddie Jones, for your question. Also, thank you for criticizing me. Bill Michael bought $5 grand of GDC yesterday, still holding 40 grand of Railtown. Well, GDC is currently trading at 764. And the bullish case for GDC is that the company acquired a ton of Bitcoin. And that if you do the arithmetic on the numbers given, that the share price is trading, I guess now, at maybe 55% value on the Bitcoin that they acquired. So the argument would be that GDC, I mean, to be simplistic, it could double from here. And maybe there's going to be a coordinated attempt to get it, Univest is in there, offshore, same, I would imagine, some of the same investors of TKO and was it TKO and HKD? It was HKD and TOP and HKD. Who squeezed. And so maybe GDC's the next one to squeeze. Bill Michael is taking a chance on that. I'll show you one thing that I don't know how to translate. And I don't mean to be negative on GDC. Bill Michael obviously follows him and maybe follows him. And Dirty Brandy, I would recommend that you guys do that too if you're interested in GDC. But this comes from yesterday's SEC filing on GDC. As of the effective date, the buyer, that's GDC, is authorized to issue 20 million preferred stock. I think that'll happen. Why? Because they'll have control. That's usually what happens when a banker's involved and they issue preferred stock. Maybe not, but that's fine. Control's fine. And 200 million shares of common stock. Well, 200 million shares of common. I'm not saying that it will. They will issue it. It might be down the road, but I think that if I were the one or two guys, this Palace Capital is just an LLC in Bahamas. And I think, according to Google, it's associated with a guy named Palace at Cohen Securities. I don't understand. If I owned $900 million, it's like 850, but let's just call it $900 million worth of Bitcoin, why I would exchange that for shares in a publicly traded company, albeit one that has an excellent website. It seems to have a tremendous group of investors. It's got this concept of having Bitcoin in its treasury and other things. So it might be a great company. But I don't know, if I had almost $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, why I would do that instead of, for example, using that to backstop acquiring a cash flow producing oil and gas company that also has a huge slew of locations to drill, or going in and buying a gold and silver mining company. I don't know. It's just something confuses me that you're going to risk 350 to $400 million of your net worth on a short squeeze. Maybe, you're not happy with essentially $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, but something just doesn't seem reasonable about it. And I know Bill Michael is a better businessman than I am, so he can probably suss out why that's a good gamble as opposed to Railtown. But obviously he didn't need to sell his Railtown to buy his equipment. If he bought 5,000 of GDC, I don't know what he paid. If he paid $7, he spent 35 grand on it. So his reasoning, the reason Bill gave for selling Railtown probably wasn't exact. We all do that. We make our decisions and then come up with reasons. I wonder if Bill Miko is a Gemini. I don't know. So GDC has this potential of being the next short squeeze, and maybe that's what, maybe what happened is the two guys, it looks like, putting up the Bitcoin in this separate company may have already established a position, and they know that the longs, with Univest's help, are going to collude, which is illegal, but it's okay. I'm all for it. To turn on computers, and they put up money for that. They put up money for the computers to use, and they'll start creating a buy algorithm to compete with the sell algorithm, and you guys will be the catalyst. You'll be the primer that sends GDC to huge upside highs. It's a gamble. It's not an investment. It's a gamble. I'm surprised that a businessman would do that, but businessmen like gambles like the rest of us. Um, uh, so it could work. And I recommend following GDC on Ham on Twitter and listening to his call, and follow GDC with Dirty Randy. There may be other sources of information on GDC. I know that Frank Benedetto, according to a friend of mine, put out on Twitter that he sold 80% of his GDC, I think at $9 or $10, and kept 20%. So you could follow him on GDC as well, but I would follow his actions rather than his words. I don't know. So enough comments on GDC. I don't know anything useful about GDC other than that I would be really surprised that a billionaire would risk half of his $1 billion. I'm rounding up. To gamble with. I don't know many billionaires that would gamble 400 million in one roll of the dice. But it could be. I mean, he may see, the thing is, he may be privy to what the collusion is on the long side, which technically is illegal. But remember, the shorts collude, so I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I want them to bust the shorts, and maybe GDC's the one that does it. And I guess the only final thing I'd say on GDC is with that 200 million authorized and Univest involved, they may do a financing to make up. I mean, I know if I put up 900 million of Bitcoin, I would ask for a side letter or a backstop so that I could get shares if the stock didn't go up. I would want enough, or it went down, I would want enough shares and enough of a guarantee that I wouldn't lose 300, $400 million. I don't know to you guys, but I personally think $350 million is a lot of quid, And I wouldn't want to risk it. But as I'm speaking, GDC is up 78 cents. It's at 771. There's 337,000 in volume. So if you are attracted to an attempt to participate in a short squeeze, matched, possibly, by buying a stock that might be trading at 55% of what it's worth, maybe. That's the bull side case. The bearish case, it could be that the Cohen Securities guy, maybe this is a new methodology of issuing some collateral so that they can create toxic financing, and then they can crush it and somehow they get their collateral back. I don't know. I can't figure. To me, there's something missing in this story, and I can't figure it out. I did read through the news announcement, and on the face of it, But that's the key. It's only on the face of it. It looks like the stock now is trading at a sharp discount to the value of the Bitcoin they bought. But I think there's more to be revealed, and I think the stock price is telling you that. Just one more bullish side, it could be that the guys that are all wealthy, they may have paid money to an offshore trading desk with computers to get ready to run the stock up. And maybe as the stock went up, they're now doing a rope-a-dope, letting the stock come down and letting the short computers hang themselves on their own, hoist themselves on their own petard. And as soon as, they've got their mouth, the hook in their mouth, maybe the bullish computers, the buy-side computers, will really stick it into them. Anyway, I don't know enough about GDC, and because of that, for me, it's an entire gamble. But a guy like Bill Miko, who's a better businessman than I am, and needed the money from Railtown to buy equipment, but he has money to buy GDC. He may know a lot more and understand a lot more of the risk reward in GDC. It boils down on the bullish side. You're buying the Bitcoin inventory at 60% of its value, and you have a chance at a squeeze. So it sounds like a good risk reward. The bearish side is it doesn't make any sense. But, that's what markets are all about. That really is what markets are all about. And if you've got dueling computers, buy-side computers versus sell-side computers, it could be that the buy-side computers have set up a rope-a-dope. And by the time 1 or 2 days go by, this stock could be $30. It could be. I don't know. I think Railtown will be up 10 to 15x. And I know, in my judgment, that if I hold Railtown for 9 months to 18 months, it's going to be up 100x or more. I think it's pretty scary to jump into GDC. But the price looks good. I mean, the action looks good. I didn't look at the chart. Maybe the chart looks good too. Let me look. And GDC was one of the two, GDC and ZJYL, that they were going to try to run last year before someone put the whole game plan on Twitter, and the attorney said, "Hey, guys, you can't go forward." So, I mean, maybe now they can get it done. I think, well, I don't know what to say about that action. It's a healthy pullback. Nothing goes straight up. So it's healthy if you believe it's going up. That's a 1-year chart. On a 5-year chart, you would expect it to pause here. You can see 1, 2, 3 different times that it tested this area and traded down. So it's a normal place of resistance. If it can break through with volume, that's what I'd like to see, 1 to 2 million shares of volume and breakthrough. Maybe you're off to the races. And the all-time high in this stock somewhere around, it's very hard to read. I think it says 320 or something like that. I think it's very hard to read. Anyway, follow him, follow Dirty Randy on that, and certainly follow Bill Micro. He's a wealthy businessman, and he's better at business than I am. He's better at allocating risk, and he's got a little bit of a gambler in him, and maybe you do too. Personally, I'd be all in Railtown. I'd be all in Railtown. I think the easy money's been made in GDC, but maybe there's a hell of a lot more to go in GDC. I don't know. I don't know. It'd be so great if the attorneys could finish on Railtown so we could have some hard data, hard information to start talking about. But it doesn't seem like the attorneys have any intention of finishing. The volume that I see on Railtown is 500 shares at 11:44 this morning. Although they now have the daily volume up to 146,000. So I'm a little confused. But the last trade was, what, 5 hours ago? 4 hours ago. 4 hours ago. So it's only 400. I wonder what's happening with, I can't get it on my E-Trade, but maybe I can get it on Yahoo. I wonder what's happening in Canada. 80,000 shares. Last trade. Shoot, I can't get the summary. It's weird. All right, so let's go back. Rail.cn. Okay, let's go on Yahoo. So I show, okay, they have a trade as of 3 o'clock, 3:16. They have a trade at 63 cents Canadian. So 90,000. It does. I don't know what size that was. A gentleman asked me about the article Simply Wall Street yesterday. There's an article about Railtown. Let's see what it says. These are just, these aren't serious articles, I don't think. But they have Railtown AI with 6 stars. Overview, Railtown AI Technologies is a Canadian company focused on developing and commercializing software technology with a market cap Canadian of 100 million. Railtown AI Technologies has not reported any specific revenue at this time, of course, because it's tied up by attorneys. Railtown AI, with a market cap Canadian of 102 million, remains a pre-revenue, generating less than $1 million, despite being unprofitable which by definition, all we know about it is that it's in its R&D phase. Despite being unprofitable and having a negative return on equity, recent strategic partnerships may enhance its growth prospects. Collaborations with AI Partnerships Corp and Ignite Sequence LLC aim to expand its AI technology footprint in the Middle East and financial analytics sectors, respectively. Additionally, the launch of auto triage within its conductor platform showcases Railtown's commitment to innovation in software development. The company has raised capital through private placements. And then they say that it faces cash runway challenges without further funding. Well, that's true of all of these companies. And nobody knows for sure until the attorneys are finished. I cannot explain to you, and Freddie Jones wants me not to blame the attorneys because you're not the attorneys, so I won't. But I do put it squarely on the business people at Railtown who are allowing the tail of attorneys to wag the dog. It's time for the business people at Railtown to say, we've got to go forward with the news and get this show on the road. That's my opinion. But anyway. So the Federal Reserve cut interest rates, how much? They did 25 basis points. There's the chart of interest rates since, I guess that's what, 2012. So last 13 years. Look how low they were for so long. They ran them up and then came back down to zero. To you, it seems like we have high interest rates, but I remember when 4% was cheap. I still think they're going to go lower. So the boring 1-1. Fed cuts rates by 25 basis points. That's the key, what he says about the future. There's another chart of rates for the last, decade. 9 months after it last adjusted rates, the Fed finally bent the knee this afternoon and cut rates by 25 basis points, which was already fully priced by the market. Only once since it started publishing its target rate in the 1970s had the Federal Reserve waited longer. That was 2001 to 2002 when, unlike now, it was a bear market low. Consumer spending was weak and inflation was below target. The Fed members are also shifting in a dovish direction with 50 basis points now more 50 basis points more set for the remainder of 2025. So that's why the market should be up, because that's a pretty good, let's see what the market's doing. Yeah, the Dow is up 257, NASDAQ's down 25, S&P's up, so NASDAQ and S&P are both flat, but Dow's up a little bit. GDC's now up 95 cents to 793, 357,000 shares. And it says hard to borrow. The market cap is 88 million. So if they bought all that Bitcoin, I mean, it certainly does seem, obviously the 88 million is not the right market cap, because once the deal settles, there'll be more shares outstanding. But it does seem cheap on the face of it. Energy Vault is up 10.5 cents at 236. Mountain's down 32.5 cents at 11.79. And Fingers flat. Railtown is down basically a penny at 46.7. And I'm still only seeing, and I'm sure there's just something wrong with my service, I'm only seeing 500 shares traded at 11.44. I don't understand it, because the volume shows 146,000 for the day. But congratulations, Bill, on GDC. You bought it yesterday, and I wish you luck with it. I really do. I hope you make a lot of money. Fred Jones, he is over in London getting booed at. Yeah, Trump is. Yeah, that's right. Hey, John Quisson. Good morning. Are you going to talk about gold, silver, and platinum? Yeah, I did a little bit yesterday. We can talk about it, I guess, again. It's something new to talk about. Hey, Donna. Hi, William, and everyone. Hi, Donna. How are you? Richard K. When does RLAIF Moon MMTLP may have a resolution first? Yeah, I saw that Richard Hoffman had some sort of call with Curtis. I didn't listen to it. I don't think there's any resolution coming for MMTLP, but I obviously am not current, and I would trust what Curtis has to say and what you have to say about MMTLP much more than my uninformed opinion. So I would be surprised if MMTLP has a significant resolution. But Railtown isn't going to moon quickly, Richard. I don't know what you mean by moon. Just to go over what I think is going to happen. It's 50 cents now. I think when the news is finally released, it'll be $1.25, $1.50. And then I think it'll sort of stutter step up to $5 or $6. And once it hits $5 or $6, I think it goes to the teens very quickly. So if you call that a moon, that I think that could happen within 6 weeks or a lot sooner, But I don't think that's anywhere near what Railtown will eventually do. Now, we have to count on the market holding up, AI multiples holding up, and we have to see the information flow on revenue, growth of revenue, number of shares outstanding, all those kind of things for Railtown. As we see that, I think Railtown next year will be somewhere between $55 and maybe a lot higher than that, maybe as high as $75, $85 a share next year. It could be higher. I don't even think that's a moon. I think the company can be bought out by a Microsoft, AMD, NVIDIA. let's say within the next 2 years, at numbers even higher than that. But the longer we go out, there's more risk that the multiples contract and that the overall stock market has a major correction, and that the AI boom lessons. So there's a lot to pay attention to. But Richard, I don't see a moon happening in Railtown in the short run. I think there's a 10 to 15x, maybe as quickly as within the month, 6 weeks, 2 months, or sooner, There is a possibility of a short squeeze. I certainly hope there isn't a short squeeze, because that'll turn all of you all into hot money, and you'll run over to stocks like GDC, G-Bucks, you know, COSM, NRGV, MTEN. And I just think, pinballing between all of those stocks is a good way to reduce capital. Unless you do it in a way like Bill Miko's doing it. You buy Railtown, you sell half of it because you think it's dead money, and you pay attention though. I think Bill Miko is paying attention to the information on GDC. I don't know. You can do that. Wow, Giuseppe, I'm writing that down. The first good news of the day. $107. That's great. Giuseppe, 107. Good for you. Bravo. So now what? How are you? Hey, Bill and gang. Michael, hey, you're amazing. You're doing just the right thing, Michael. Hey, just the right thing. Yeah, just the right thing. And that's a good price, 46.1. That's very good, Michael Haight. That's fantastic. Justin Babish, I think that's great. Adding another 1,000. Awesome. Good job. Donna M. Congratulations, Giuseppe. My goal before retirement is 100K. I have 4,212 shares to buy. I don't know how much longer I'd wait, Donna. But maybe you can't control that. I'm so frustrated with the attorneys, but that's very, what's the word, emotional, knee-jerk. It doesn't mean they're not working hard behind the scenes, and maybe they have really good reasons for taking so long. I mean, just because they've taken 7 months doesn't mean they're going to take even one more day. It really means, this 50-cent stock price could change on a dime, and it could be $1.25 tomorrow morning. So I'm not sure I'd wait much longer if you have a goal. On the other hand, I understand it. You've done great, Donna. You've done really well. Adding. It's called dollar cost averaging. You've done a really good job with it. And you can dollar cost average when the stock's going down, but also as it's going up. And it makes sense in both cases if you believe in the fundamentals of the stock. I'm not talking about day trading or swing trading. That's not something that I engage in normally. I mean, every now and then you get into a stock and it gives you a trade right away, and you got to take it. GDC is now 771, up 72 cents. It looks pretty strong, so I guess Bill Miko is doing very well on that trade right now. He's probably up at least $2,500 from yesterday. And fingers down a penny at 155. Energy Vault's up 8.5 at 234. Mountains down 29.5 at 1182. And yeah, well, we'll just leave it at those. Oh, I see. You have to wait till Tuesday or Wednesday. I see. I got it. Pat M, the Fed rate cut was 25. I really fell behind. Yeah, at least it's a start. But remember, the Fed doesn't really control interest rates. The bond market does. Perceptions do. And there's a lot of doom and gloom out there right now. But I actually think interest rates are going lower in the near term, which is counterintuitive. But I think that's what's going to be happening. And it's not going to be the Fed yet. The Fed's balance sheet, I forget where it is right now, 7 trillion, 9 trillion. I think if the markets crack, the Fed's going to grow its balance sheet to 50 trillion. It's going to be huge. And the government will step in too. So that's good for Bitcoin and gold and silver and other hard assets. We'll see what it does for AI. It probably is pretty good for AI too, because AI, at least in what I understand, in a lot of AI, is the margins are gigantic. So it might be attractive for that. But, I never quite understood it. But if you are running a portfolio and you think about it, if you're doing it on earnings growth out 10 years, 15, 20 years, if you have low interest rates, you're willing to pay up for that growth. But if interest rates go up, that growth rate is not as attractive to you. There's more opportunity cost. It always seemed relatively insignificant to me. So if interest rates start going up, my point is you could see a correction in some of these growth stocks. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. So I still show Railtown's last trade at 46.46. Is that new? Okay. All right. They did 1,000 at 46.49. And they did 3,869 at 46.46. So they're trying to show you that it's under pressure and people are selling. So I finally see. But it's weird. It shows the time as 11:44. It's like they're reporting those trades late. I don't know. I don't think I'm getting a good service here. The bid is 45.76. The ask is 47. GDC is up 90 cents at 7.88. Giuseppe, thanks, Donna. I'm stacking rails until deal with C revenue and value. Imminently, yeah, I think it's imminently, depending on the definition of imminent. Norm Foss, I look forward to the day when we finally learn what actual impediment was to Rail's critical path forward. I don't know if we'll ever find out. I don't think it's our business. And I don't, I'm impatient just because I just have so little new to say. And I know that the longer the news isn't out, the more the Fedsters can get you to go to the new shiny object. But like I said, I think 2 weeks ago, if you can fix in your mind double nickels, May 5th, $55, that focuses your attention. Or in maybe the next 5 weeks, $5.50, that focuses your attention. And we can avoid being worried about one more day waiting. My guess is now that it's not happening on Wednesday, you can write it off for this week. It'll be next week, which is fine. It's only a few more days. I do know I've been saying that for a while, and I'm kind of worn out by it. I have no updates from the company. I have no real understanding of what the delay is. As I said the other day, it could be that the attorneys are incompetent and working with the shorts or something like that. I don't think that's the case. I think they're probably really good attorneys. I mean, I suppose you could say they're not being paid enough to hurry up. I doubt that's true too. It's Canadian prices. You could say they're working with the shorts. I really doubt that. I think all the negatives, which I've shown, by the way, toward the attorneys are probably wrong. It's the most likely thing going on with Railtown is there's so many people involved, so many signatures, so many approvals necessary each step of the way, that every time just as they get it lined up, just as they get the castle built in the sand, the bully comes along and kicks it. And then just as they build that back up, the wave comes along and comes behind the castle and wipes out one of us. So they got to rebuild it. It's just, we just don't know. Jim says it gives Railtown a market cap for the Canada and the United States. Yeah, I know. It's the market cap for Railtown in the United States dollars is 63 million. And, I think it's likely, very likely, Railtown will be doing at least 60 million, 70 million exiting this year in annual recurring revenue. If they did, let's call it 63 million. That's the market cap right now. If they get a multiple on that of 25x, 50x, 100x, well, you can just apply that to the stock price right now. The stock is cheap. The stock of Railtown is very cheap. Jim says he doesn't know how good the market cap numbers are. Yeah, I don't know either. Because in the filings that Railtown gave, it showed more shares than Yahoo does. So I don't know. When they finally are able to release the news, once the attorneys are finished, we'll get that kind of information. Yeah, it's still down a penny. Pat M. Donna, my Roth is with Wells Fargo. All right, so Pat, that is something to be aware of. They won't let you buy a stock under one. Now you might. I don't know if you will. I would still think it makes sense. But if Railtown goes to $1.50 on the news, you might buy more at $1.50. I'm not saying you have to. But that's the kind of buying that might start coming in once the news is released. As it goes over $1, many accounts can buy it that cannot buy it now. And that's what I I think you'll start seeing in Railtown is a more accurate reflection of price discovery. That's just my opinion. So you'd be surprised. There could be a lot of buyers in your situation. Norm Foss, William, you mentioned John Ruffalo. He also, through Omer's, funded. Yes, absolutely. Constellation Software, CSU, in Canada, he put up the first 20. I don't know if we put it up all, because I've read different articles worded different ways, but he certainly put up the majority of it, if not all of it. 25 million, John Ruffalo. And imagine, Norm, John, with the couple of guys from Omer's, one guy anyway, and another guy from related to it, they're deciding to do the exact same strategy as Constellation Software, which went from 25 million, or whatever the valuation was at that level, to 5 billion today in Canadian dollars. And if they use the same strategy in the growing high margin AI roll up market versus Constellation strategy, which was lower margin, more, smaller market and more mature software development. Just imagine, and Norm, just also imagine, John Ruffalo must be very close with Constellation Software. Right now, I want to say his name is Leonard, the CEO. I could be wrong with that. But imagine, Constellation Software is just overflowing with cash flow. Imagine if John Ruffalo calls them and says, hey, why don't you invest in Railtown? I would imagine that would be a very, very productive call. Or imagine if investors who made a lot of money in Constellation Software and they know they got in it because of John Ruffalo. What if John Ruffalo calls those people and say, hey, here's a stock I'm keen on. Don't you think you should own some? I think once the attorneys get finished, which I have to admit at this point, I don't think they have any urgency, zero urgency. They're going to make sure every period appears in the document exactly where it should. Every T is crossed. Every word is spelled correctly. That's just the kind of attorneys we're dealing with. But it's okay. It's okay. That's the cost of that's the price we have to pay to benefit from a really exciting story. We don't have the choice of getting inside information and buying at the last minute. We don't have that choice. So we have to wait, but it'll be worth it, I think. Norm Foss, there's the AIP rail connection to CSU. Absolutely. They know each other. They have to be talking to each other. I agree. I wouldn't be surprised, Norm. A friend of mine pointed it out. It could be Constellation Software. I'd never thought of it. They could be the ones that buy out Railtown. They're sitting. Imagine if they gave stock. They're worth 5 billion Canadian. What if they gave 50 billion? 50 billion. Not 50. Yeah, 50 billion. Sorry. Canadian in stock to buy Railtown. 50 billion, I guess that's 10% in the way that we calculate millions, billions, and trillions. I'm not sure it is in Canada. I think they do it our way, not the British way. Railtown's now down a penny 22. 151,000. Okay. I show 100 shares at 46.44 and 500 shares at 46.32. So they want you to feel the pressure of it being in the red. All right, so Bill Miko has something to tell you about GDC. GDC stated in today's press release it's worth $22 a share. That's a good point. I didn't see that press release. That's actually a valid observation. If they make that statement in a press release, they can get in a lot of trouble if it's not true. Yeah, I don't see a press release today. But anyway, yesterday it said GDC is acquiring 7,500 Bitcoin through an $875 million share deal with Palace Capital. Palace Capital really doesn't exist other than as a company out of the Bahamas. I don't think it really, I just think it's an LLC, but that's all right. Share dilution. Oh, that's a Yahoo story. So that's not a press release. Maybe there's a press release today that's not showing up on Yahoo. Of course, they're talking about AI in one of their news stories. So where would I guess I would go to GDC's website and see what press releases they've released. Yeah, you're right. They put out a press release today that's not on Yahoo. At least I couldn't find it. So their headline is, I'll show it to everybody. GDC highlights shareholder value at $22 a share. That's their headline on their press release. GD Culture highlights shareholder value of Palace Capital acquisition. 7,500 Bitcoin equals approximately $22 of Bitcoin per share. Now, you got to net out debt, which I assume they wouldn't be saying that if they hadn't netted out debt. And you got to make sure they don't issue more shares. But there's no indication they're going to issue more shares. So anyway, let's read it. GDC today issued an updated news release regarding the shareholder value created by its recently announced acquisition of Palace Capital Holding. It disclosed on September 16 that it entered into a definitive, which is important, share exchange agreement to acquire 100% of Palace Capital's issued and outstanding ordinary shares in exchange for 39 million newly issued shares. Through this transaction, 7,500 Bitcoin will be transferred to GDC and held as a long-term digital asset reserve upon closing. So I guess there's a little risk, I'd say tiny, it hasn't closed yet. But that's the arbitrage that Bill Miko is taking advantage of. Based on the current Bitcoin price of approximately 117,000, the acquired Bitcoin represents an aggregate value of 900 million. This equates to $22 a share. Mr. Zhao Zhan Wang quoted, "By completing this acquisition, we have significantly strengthened our balance sheet and establishes us among the top 15 publicly traded companies with the largest Bitcoin treasury reserves. Looking ahead, we will continue to evaluate opportunities in blockchain and DeFi. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good for that. With all the vice presidents, sounds like a cast and crew from Teldar Payment. Good luck to us all. Yeah. William, I had a forensics check for $30,000 paid by lawyers who I seem to hate. I don't hate your attorneys. I am frustrated with the attorneys at Railtown. But I've told you before, Bill, there's a friction between the legal side and the producing side of any sales organization, particularly on Wall Street. And that carries over for me. I do think that Railtown needs to have excellent legal documents so that in the future, if, for example, there's an acquisition, there's no problem. So it's just life. But yeah, I get very frustrated. I don't hate them. I am frustrated. I've never said I hated them. That's where the funds come from. I purchased $100,000 in equipment. Well, I think my basic point is still the case, Bill Michael. You decided to buy GDC instead of replacing your Railtown, and that's fine. I guess you feel like GDC can give you a triple. You're paying 7 something, goes to 22 something. That's a triple. And maybe you're hoping for a squeeze. And maybe to you a triple is excellent and you think there's very little risk in it. And that's what makes markets. I think Railtown is going to give a triple in the first day after news is announced. And from there, it could give 10 or 15x over the next few weeks. But we'll see. We'll see. At least you're in both. And you're wealthy already, so you don't need to. You don't need to try to make money in Railtown because you're already wealthy. Dirty Randy, good. He's going to say something. Didn't mean to put question after 100%. Where did you say something else that I missed? Maybe I missed something you said. Let's see what Dirty Randy says. Didn't mean to put question mark after 100%. I didn't see that. Corey needs to stop running Railtown like a private company. As shareholders, we deserve an update. Yup. These lawyers, I agree with William. I'm frustrated with the attorneys. Bradley Kent, I just found Railtown. Any good videos to learn from? Yeah, there are. There's let me see if I can find them. I think I'll find them pretty quickly because I've played them several times to wow, Tony Dinero 8 days ago, why Railtown is the only OT6 ticker I have bought this year. AI under radar. Tony Dinero. Well, I wouldn't listen to anything. I wouldn't listen to anything he says, but that's Deep Profits came out with one. Wow. There's a bunch of them. All right, here's one. Here's one.
Yeah. Of OTC markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from Railtown AI Technologies, Inc. Please note you can submit questions in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Corey Brandolini, CEO, co-founder, and director of Railtown AI Technologies.
I'm willing to play that after I get down to the bottom. And I also want to talk, somebody asked me yesterday, who was it? Was it Richard K? Asked me yesterday about NextBridge. I think that's who it was. But I can play that video. It's called Railtown AI Technologies Virtual Investor Conferences. It's the OTC Markets Group. It's 1 year ago. It's pretty good to give you a foundation on Railtown. But then AI partnership is fantastic as well. But maybe, Bradley, at the end, I'll play it. I just want to get down because I've taken so long going down the question marks. I mean the comments. Justin Babish. It's always the case today. Last purchase, many before that. My bid's less than 1 penny under the offer, don't fill. My bid's over the offer, fill even lower than my first bid. Yeah, I as long as the shorts are selling stock using computers, just go in at the ask and you'll be filled, I believe, below the ask. It's been a while since I bought significant shares, but my experience is just go in at the ask because they have to fill you. If you go in at the ask, they have to give you a fill. But it usually is underneath the ask. And you might be surprised how far below the ask it is. They really don't want it to run upward, Justin. Pat M. I'm planning to buy in my Roth and have money waiting. All right. At over $1. Good for you. I think it makes sense, by the way, Pat. If I don't have any money, but if I did, I would buy it at $1. I buy it at $2. I buy it at $3. I think this thing is headed into the teens this year, and it could be a lot higher. Next year, I've given my target at $55. Go Hawks. I haven't reported in a while. All right, I mean, that's great. That's great, Go Hawks. I'm going to write that down. I might already have it, maybe, but maybe not. Go Hawks. 80,000. That's tremendous. That is a tremendous position. I'm in the green on most of it. I was in the red. So you were in the red most of last in 24. You're now in the green. That's my whole goal with all of you all, is to get you in the green. And then hopefully the green becomes so big, it pays for all the pain, pays for MMTLP. Donna says, Pat, my Roth is with Fidelity. Pat says, good luck, Donna, and everyone. All right, so Bradley, I'm going to first talk about, if I can find it, I'm going to talk about NextBridge. Oh, I thought there was new news. There really isn't. Let's just see what it says. NextBridge, I thought I read this. NextBridge announces it's completed a $6 million capital raise. Use the capital to meet funding commitments required to participate in the drilling and completion of our working interest in the Panther project. They're going to retire $2 million in debt. Greg McCabe said, "It is with great pleasure I announce this successful capital raise." That's great. I think that's great news. So there's not much to say on that. Let's go through the prices. Railtown, of course, they're going to have closed it in the red, I'm sure. 46.32. What's the volume? 158,000 shares. GDC had a good day, of course. It was up 71 cents, 770, 380,000 shares. They have it down a penny in the aftermarket. No big deal. Finger closed at 156, Energy Vault closed at 236, and Mountain closed at 1175. Let's see if there's any reaction on the Fed. Roaring Russell hits resistance. Remember, I'm calling for 4,000 on the Russell, which I know is very optimistic. 30,000 on NASDAQ, 65,000 on the Dow, 8,500 on the S&P, 5,000 on gold, and 120 in silver prior to the big correction. All right, let me see if I can play this for Bradley. And let me just cheat a little bit and use a stand so I don't have to hold it because my hands will start shaking. All right. Of course, this ruins the plastic.
Get ready!
Wow. What's that called? Match game? That's pretty cool. I wasn't trying to play match game.
Happy to do one-on-ones that actually give for software development. Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Matt Lateplo, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from Railtown AI Technologies, Inc. Please note you can submit questions in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Corey Brandolini, CEO, co-founder, and director of Railtown AI Technologies, Inc., which trades on the OTC markets under the symbol RLAIF and on the CSC under the symbol RAIL. Welcome, Corey.
Thank you, Bradley. This is a year ago.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you everybody for joining in to hear about Railtown. It's a little early here on the West Coast, so this is the earliest presentation I've ever given, so please bear with me. So first of all, I'd like to say that what we do at Railtown and walk you through some slides, and hopefully if there's any Q&A, we'll dive in there as well. So Railtown, we're building at Railtown what we call application general intelligence for software development. And that might be a lot to chew off and understand very quickly, but as we move through the slides, it'll begin to make sense for everybody. So a couple of early points right out of the get-go. Railtown, you have a large team of senior technology leaders. We've built many large, scalable and enterprise solutions over the years. We also have a strong team in capital markets experience. 100% of our intellectual property was built and developed in the West Coast here in Canada. And it's 100% our own intellectual property. We have multiple provisional patents around our AI, and we've been training our machine for multiple years as well. We have a very large expanding vertical market that we apply our AI to, and we have a large beta testing community that works with Railtown. Our application has no barrier to entry, and as I explained through the slides, that'll begin to make sense to you. We've also, because we started this process in building Railtown 3.5, 4 years ago, started to train our AI. It's given us what we consider a first mover advantage into our space. We've also are a certified Microsoft partner. We worked with Microsoft in the early days as we started to build and deploy our AI, and we've continued that relationship. We've also graduated to what's called Microsoft co-sell status, which allows Microsoft enterprise sales to sell our solution. We've also established a large Microsoft enterprise partner to act as our enterprise solution provider on the sales side. And we have battle-tested solutions now as we're going to commercialization. This is a high-margin SaaS solution business that we're in. As Matt said in the beginning, we're listed on the CSE under the symbol RAIL, and we have just recently filed and begin to trade on the OTC. So what are we doing at Railtown? So we're developing what we call application general intelligence for software developer agents. Software developer agents have been purposely built to do a multitude of tasks that will assist and to eliminate repetitive tasks that to improve software development, increase productivity, drive down inefficiency, improve product quality, lower costs, and accelerate your engineering team and the team velocity. In the world of software, there's a ton of mundane tasks that are repetitive over and over again that are handled by manpower. Our vision at Railtown was to build an AI assistant, or an agent, as we say, that will pick up and execute a lot of these tasks on behalf of the developer, so that the engineer can spend time on productivity and developing new applications. As I said in the beginning, we're a Microsoft partner. And we have the same philosophy along with Microsoft as how they're applying artificial intelligence as a tool, as an agent, as an assistant for very specific tasks. And as you may or may not know, Microsoft is very heavily involved in that, applying artificial intelligence to their workflows like Microsoft Office, as well as their product GitHub and their GitHub Copilot product. So we're obviously big believers in the same ideology as Microsoft and how we're deploying our software, our AI, to a very specific vertical marketplace. As I said, we agree with Bill and Satya on how AI should be applied, and we're applying our same model and methodologies the way Microsoft does as well. We're fully integrated with all of Microsoft solutions, so anybody that is using a Microsoft tool in development of AI or development of software, they can apply our application directly into their tool stream. So it's an easy onboarding for our application with customers that are using Microsoft services already. So why is AI important for software development? As I mentioned in the beginning, software development is a complex process of building and deploying software and maintaining software. And about 40% of your engineering time is spent dealing with issues that arise in the application while it's running, as well as issues that arise every time you deploy a new piece of software to your application. And that number averages out around 40% of your software resources, your developer resource, is spent debugging and dealing with the technical debt that arises in the application. So for example, if you're using a Zoom stream or any application, you will have a team of developers that are working in the background to make sure that software application doesn't crash in real time, or that a bug arises in real time that causes something catastrophic like an email leak or a credit card exposure. So today, human beings are handling those tasks. There's multiple tools that help notify you about what's going on in your application, but still there's a manpower element that developers have to dive into in order to fix this issue and deal with it in real time. This is where we come into the world of AI as it applies to software development and management. And we started to build our AI to pick up that workload that handles all those issues, so human beings can stay forward on developing product while your AI agent will go up, recognize the issues, call them out, and in cases if you choose to do, have your AI fix these issues for you. On the right-hand side, there was a research, as I talked to see, the 85 billion in GDP lost from bad code and developer time spent fixing it. It's a significant number, and that was a report written by Stripe Payment Capture, and they'd recognized this issue themselves. So this is a really, really big marketplace for us and where we apply our AI. So as I said in the beginning, we've calculated, and as most other companies we've spoken to, the number is pretty consistent. So about 40% of your engineering productivity loss is dealing with these issues that arise that I was mentioning: problem solving, debugging, repetitive tasks, retesting your fixes, and dealing with the technical that arises. So we built our AI to tackle that main problem that happens to every development team. And our 3 core agents, as we call them, specifically deal with this. We have what's called an AI agent, an AI assistant, that you can communicate and act humanistically between your developer and your application. So you're communicating with your application almost like it's a co-worker and a partner, and the AI will speak to you about how it's feeling and how it's managing and what it's recognizing and what's happening in the application, where it's happening in the application. And then our root cause analysis agent will suss out these issues before they arise at the end user level, and will call out the problem, and will even suggest a fix and how this issue is to be dealt with before the application happens. Something bad happens within the application. And this is really groundbreaking stuff, and we're really excited as this is rolling out, and our customers are getting great response from it as well. Also, our AI will communicate, and we talk about progress reports. It'll speak to you back as your application is running real time, and tell you in very descriptive language how it's managing and how it's running. So this is something that, again, we started developing 3.5-4 years ago, when we started to train our machine to get it to the point where anybody's software application now becomes a partner in your deployment and building of your software. So as I said, that one of the main pieces of our application is our AI assistant, and this is a chat interface that has an agent in it that will actually talk back to you as any questions you may have about how your application is running, and it'll respond to you and it'll bring out things that it has seen in the application, and even suggest where the fix needs to be happened, and then you can ask the system to run that fix and make that change on behalf of the application. So again, really groundbreaking stuff, and we've just seen some phenomenal numbers from our customers. In many cases, our customers are saying they're saving about 8 hours per dev per week in the early days of them running the application. So the results have been fantastic. So for example, from the AI assistant interface, this is what it looks like to the customer. You can ask it anything that the application is showing you, and the system will give you an answer, talk to you, let you know something about the application. And in this piece of this interface of the AI, you can ask it to create something, do something, or actually write the fix for you and go back there and make the changes on behalf of the engineer. So really exciting how this is rolling out for our customers. One of the other main things that we did in the early days was trained our machine to understand what something as simple as a software bug was. So it could recognize what language the bug was in, understand how it's affecting the application, where in the application this bug is arising, and specifically will point to where the code change in the application that's causing this error to arise, and therefore eliminating a long investigative period for a developer have to go through the process to try and understand what this bug is and what it's causing, what potential damage it's causing. And the other thing too that our system does, and our root cause analysis agent does, it will recognize an error that's about to happen previously for it to hit the end user. And this is really important, because as it does so, it catches the error before it causes anything catastrophic. And you may have experienced yourselves using software where something's happened where the application crashes, or even things that can be even more catastrophic, where a software bug will inevitably cause something as bad as credit card exposures or anything along those lines that can be very damaging to not only the end user, but to the product's brand as well. So having this agent running for you in the background at the application will save anything that could happen along the way that could cause the software to crash, or anything catastrophic to cause serious financial damages to the company. And then thirdly, that the AI is there's a machine language, there's build language, a software language, and this is very much software
for engineers to read and understand. What our AI does as well is it translates everything in software language into plain English, so every single stakeholder in the company can interact with the AI in order to understand what's going on with their application. It could be anybody from the marketing team, the sales teams, the senior management. Every stakeholder in the application will now be able to communicate directly to the application, so they can understand what's going on with their dev team, how their productivity is looking. Are we increasing our velocity this month? Is our engineers producing more product? So the one thing that we wanted to make sure that our AI did was provide value to every single stakeholder in the software company, from the most junior engineers all the way up to the CFO and CEO as well. So really, again, a unique function that we built into our system. How do we do it? So I think this is important as we get to understanding what separates Railtown from what you may have seen or heard around the internet today. Obviously, many people have had a chance to play with things like ChatGPT or Bard, two wonderful services that they're large language models. You may have heard that term, and these are AIs that have been trained on the wider web, if you will, everything that's available on the internet. Companies like ChatGPT and Google have trained their large language model on that. So when you ask the questions, it's scouring around Wikipedia, if you will, and thinking about a humanistic way of responding to that. What we've done at Railtown is different. Our machine is trained on what we call targeted language, meaning everybody's own individual software application becomes its own language model, if you will. So if somebody has a mobile app that they built to sell organic candy online, their data and their intellectual machine data behind their application is the LLM, if you will, and where our AI is training on that in real time. So it's very specific to each individual company's own application. So this is data that is not available anywhere else that any other machine or LLM have access to. So we started this in the very beginning because we wanted to build this for ourselves so we could train our own machine on our own very specific data sets. And this is why we call this application general intelligence. So our machine knows the entire totality of everybody's application from its data sources. So it's a very unique model, and also that data is protected and not available anywhere else on the internet for other applications to have access to train on. So this is how, and our customers really like this too, because this also gives their data a separation, and it doesn't bleed into other sources or other machines. So it's very, very protected and walled off data that their own AI now is training on top of. I'll break that down a little bit more. So in software development, there are three main sources of data, and they're all different types of disparate type data. And the three sources are ticket data, which is the blueprint of what you're trying to build. And so if somebody's creating a ticket or a work item, it'll be the knowledge about what a task has been assigned to a developer, i.e. we need you to build this, and here's the architecture and the plan of the knowledge of what you're trying to build. So behind the ticket, there's an immense amount of data as what each software engineer is building. The next thing is, after that developer has taken on that ticket and completed his task, he's deployed that build to a server. And so once that build hits a server, that's the second layer that our AI starts learning and training from, is how that build is functioning on that server and as it's connected to the application that's running in real time. So now it's training on two different sources of data to come up with an understanding and learn from how the application is running and functioning. And finally, it trains on what's called log data or observability data, meaning how the application is going on at the production level, is how everybody's interacting with the service. And from those three different sources of data, the AI has a deep understanding of what each software application is doing and how it's supposed to be functioning. So it understands from the knowledge level of what you were trying to build, how it's being deployed and how it's functioning at the server level, and then how what's happening at the end user level through the logging data or the observability data. And so from there, the AI has to think very quickly and learn very quickly as to how your application is supposed to run and how it's run and how each developer is working within that application in order. So a very unique model, and what we built here at Railtown. Very quickly noted here at the bottom, I thought this calls out people important to know, is there was a report written by Goldman Sachs as how they feel AI and generative AI is going to affect the global GDP over the next dozen years. Significant numbers as we're seeing the growth, and we'll show some examples here. A couple of things to note here as we're clicking down here in time is how big is the marketplace for software developer tools? It's already a very, very big market. There is no bigger market in the world than software development. Software runs the world, as we all know. So this is a gigantic space with a large opportunity of growth and continued growth. As you see here, the global annual cost on software developer tools in 2020 was about $11 billion, looking to rise to about $21 billion in annual cost by 2025. What's unique about this is in the world of software development, every company will use maybe half a dozen different tools to build and maintain and deploy software. So it's a really big marketplace. On the other side, what you're seeing is the growth of software AI-aided tools that are going to be applied to different software markets. And one thing to note in this market, even though you'll be seeing, well, that looks like an additional cost on top of what's going on already on the left-hand column. This is true, but what we're recognizing and are seeing is the value that the AI is bringing to the company is proving that it's actually becoming a cost positive because of the productivity gains that AI is applying to that world. So even though you might be spending X amount of dollars per month on software tools and adding AI on top of it becomes another cost, what you're actually seeing is your productivity accelerate. And that's, again, what we set out to do here at Railtown is increase your productivity time. Therefore, you're getting that cost benefit that's saved by actually your productivity gains that the AI is providing. GitHub, a company you may or may not know of, they're a subsidiary of Microsoft. Again, is following up on that Goldman Sachs report. They've calculated that of the $7 trillion of GDP gain that AI is going to have on an effective productivity, therefore they see that about 1.5 trillion of that is going to be applied directly into the world of software tools, which is obviously where we live. Further to that, another note that I want to call out is Microsoft, a really great milestone for them on their GitHub Copilot, which is an AI tool that helps you write code at a quicker, faster, and complete your code to build at a much quicker level. They've now passed 1 million paying customers on that are using their Microsoft tool. This is really exciting for us because this is now proof in the pudding that people on a day-to-day use will pay for the value of AI at the singular level, actually right down to the one developer. So again, seeing productivity gains just at the code writing level, allowing you to write code faster, if you will. We're already seeing now a massive uptake in the consumer level of using that product. Railtown, as I said in the beginning, fully integrates with all of Microsoft developer suite of services. So it's a really easy add-on for our customers. A couple of quick comps here. I know I'm running out of time here. Obviously, what Microsoft tool sets are and where we fit, I suspect you have access to this deck. We've actually looked at Railtown very differently than Microsoft as we've been partnered with them in the early days. If you were to think of GitHub's Copilot tool in a worldly comparative, you would think of software, a tool helping you write software is like helping somebody write music. And that would be the artist, and Railtown would act as the conductor of the orchestra, if you will, is how the application or how the song is being played, if you will. So it's a great complement for the writer, and then how the actual application needs to be running and how it's running properly and how it runs properly while people are adding more software to the application in real time. So we've carved out a very specific market space that's a complement to that world. And as I said in the very beginning of the presentation, we have a large team of software enterprise experts. We've been building and maintaining and running software for many, many years, both on the AI side, on the big application side. And we're we're really excited about where we are and how we've grown over the past 3.5 years. As I said in the beginning, the first part of our journey was building our machine and training our machine. It takes time for your AI to get to what we consider fully optimized, that a customer will pay for that and get the benefit for it, and it'll deliver the results that they're looking for. So just this last late summer, we started to go commercial in a very beta level of bringing our customers in that are lining up to get into the application. And as we march out to our next couple of quarters, we'll be opening up our application on a fully broad level. Yeah, really exciting times for us right now. There's this quick snapshot of the cap table, as we said in the very, very beginning, fully trading on the Canadian Stock Exchange, the CSE. As now we've filed and we've been approved now to start trading on the OTC, with our symbol being RTAI and F for foreign. So that's it. That's about 23 minutes. I know that might be a lot to chew. I would like to make also note that I'm available for one-on-ones, as the OTC has provided that service for everybody here. So yeah, happy to do one-on-ones and actually give live presentations as well of the AI. I know we don't have time to do that on a conference like this, but we'll happily take meetings, and if anybody would like to see the application running in real time, we're happy to show. So I'll just dive into some questions here. So let's have a look here. So one of the questions asked is, can I discuss our sales channels and sales cycles? So as we've just started to go commercial this late summer, we've got three channels actually that we're focusing on. One is our Microsoft co-sell relationship. And so we prepared sales documentation for the Microsoft team so they can sell our application along with the bundle services of their own solutions and products like GitHub and Azure DevOps. Also, Railtown is going direct to customers through our own digital acquisition campaigns. And again, we've also partnered up with a large enterprise Microsoft reseller who will deal with our large enterprise opportunities because they'll have the large support staff to handle the needs of a large company. So yeah, we're really excited about that. Yeah, so our product is focused on, so the question was, is your product focused on commercial software? Can it work with proprietary unique software application? Yes, and above and all. So again, being that anybody who builds software, whether it's commercial software, proprietary or otherwise, they'll be using a set of tools to build and maintain and run that application. The minute you engage Railtown with any of those tool sets, and our system is integrated with all of them, there's multiple different tools out there. The popularity of them focuses on maybe 6 or 7 that everybody uses, and our application is fully integrated with all those tools. So it's a really easy thing for anybody who's building software, from a single startup in a garage where 1 or 2 developers are working on something, all the way up to a team of 1,000 or that are working on software, and they have dev teams regionalized in all over the world. The application will run for the entire company right across. So can you discuss your business and revenue model? So we have 2 models. One, enterprise, where our system is integrated in as a complete solution along with the Microsoft products. And that'll be negotiated at the enterprise level based on the size of the contract and the size of the needs of that large enterprise customer. And the other is a straight SaaS model. So small, medium businesses can come to Railtown.ai, sign up, and it's per dev, per head, per cost. So it's a really simple model. Obviously, on the enterprise side, there'll be much bigger integrations that they may need. So they'll be based on contract-based, but individual companies or individual developers will be part of a SaaS model where it's 5 developers, you pay per developer per head. And finally, what is our capital position, and what are you currently revenue generating? So we just did a raise in the end of August in Canada, a little over $2 million. That will see us out for the next period of time. I would say not cash flow positive, but certainly cash flowing will get us to that level. We'll continually spend in R&D as our AI is continually showing us new functionality. So the chances to going back to the market for a growth raise is very possible. We might be looking for something in spring to do something. And now that we're on the U.S. exchange, we do plan to do a large U.S. roadshow and start developing relationships with U.S. brokerage firms as well. So there'll definitely be opportunities to do a financing with a U.S. broker as well. We just started generating revenue, so great. Like I said, we first commercialized just this summer, and now we're starting to see the results of our campaigns that we're running from customers coming into the system. So that's the end of the question line. I thank everybody again for hearing about Railtown. As if anybody would like.
All right. There's another one, Bradley, but I think I'll just leave it at that. I'll just point out one thing from it. He mentioned that the, let's see, what did he call it? The global cost. He said there's global costs of AI development, but then he said the annual software tools market for 2025 was 21 billion. So if we take 21 billion, which is a lot smaller than the numbers I've seen, but if we take 21 billion as the target market, the addressable market, 21 billion, and we use this research report's 3% penetration, that'll give us, let's see what it is. I should be able to do it in my head, but I think they'll do much better than that. Oh, good Lord, that's a huge number. If they do a 3% penetration of that, it's 630 million in ARR. So why don't we just take 10% of that? So knock 90% off of that. That gives you 63 million ARR. He said it's 21 billion in 2025. 3% of that is a large number, and 10% of that number gives you 63 million that could come to Conductor. I don't know. I would want to use a higher multiple, but let's use 50 times that. That gives you 3 billion, and we could divide that by 200 million shares, which is more than they have. That's a $15.75 stock price just on Railtown, Bradley. And then if AI partners, I mean, I'm pretty confident they have 400 million in revenue. Why am I? Well, I can't really show it to you. I took a picture of it. It was on Twitter, but the person who put it up, who I think's credible, took it down, I think because of the quiet period. So I don't want to violate that. However, I mean, you don't know if you can believe me or not. It said that there's 400 million in revenue on the AI partner side. I mean, if you have 63 million, let's say sometime next year, looking forward, you have 63 million from the Railtown side and maybe 140 million from the AI partner roll-up strategy. You're at 200 million. And if you go to 200 million and you multiply it, this is where multiples right now are 100, 150, 200x. Let's use 50x But we have to acknowledge that those multiples could contract at some point in the future. But right now they're very high. So if we use 50 times 200 million, that's a $10 billion market cap. We divide it obviously by 200 million. You know where it's going to end up. Shares. Oh, good Lord. If I could buy a calculator, it didn't. So if you have 10 billion divided by 200 million, you know where it's going to end up. It's going to be right under my target for next year. $50 a share, see? $50 a share. And that's just, Bradley, that's assuming Railtown with its conductor and line tracks and all of that, they can do 60 million. Let's say it's going to be forward annual recurring revenue. Let's say by the end of the first quarter next year, they can project 60 million. That's a guess. I don't know. I have no insight. They already have 4 deals, company relationships they've announced, but we don't know the revenue because of the legal status. But then if you just assume out of the 400 million in revenue from the AIP networks, you get, 140 million. Obviously, I'm doing that to get to 200 million, but assume by the end of the first quarter, going forward, they have 200 million in annualized recurring revenue, which is growing quickly, and you use a 50 multiple in 200 million shares, even though Yahoo shows 140 million. That's a $50 stock price next year. And I think that gives a lot of room for error. It could be more than that. I mean, there's no reason that, I just picked 60 million from conductor. It could be a lot more than that. I think they're going to get much more than 3% of the market. And remember, 3% of the market was a gigantic number. And I cut that down by 90%. So the upside on Railtown is really big. And that's why, Bradley, I don't know if you've heard me before. Sometimes I get a little worked up. That's why I just think being in any other stock risks, not participating in that kind of upside. Although while I was listening, I can see what Bill Miko's doing. For 30 grand, he can pay for his whole equipment if it goes to $22 and he paid $7 or something. I understand that thinking. I would think that way. Justin says, yeah, we already talked about that. Northwest says, what's this nonsense? Well, I thought it was pretty good. That was Corey Brandolini. It's a year ago. It's a little more than a year ago, that presentation. And I think Corey is extremely credible. There's one other one which I'll play. I'm not going to do it now because I'm tired. But I thought it was very good. It describes what Railtown does, Northwest. I know you don't care because you're a fudster. But I guess if I had to summarize it, you've got guys like John Ruffalo and the other 2 guys who founded AI Partners in the roll-up strategy, which will imitate Constellation software. 25, 50 million to 5 billion. It took a few years. Took a couple of decades, maybe 15 years. I know you don't have patience for that because you're in the business of selling stock that doesn't exist, playing with people's emotions, and just getting a quick hit every day, a grand, 5 grand, 10 grand. I get it. But for people who want to invest and sleep at night, John Ruffalo uh, founded AI Partners on that whole roll-up strategy. And when they met Railtown and Conductor, they said, hey, buy us, because Conductor is the real deal. And by merging with Railtown, Conductor gives them more power when they're rolling up these companies. And so I think it's, one of those classic good for everybody type situations. And what's amazing is Railtown is ready to commercialize their product. So by joining the network, they joined 160 companies Northwest. It's not nonsense at all, with 5,000 commercial customers who all can be cross-sold Conductor. It's amazing. And they said, why don't you buy us instead of the other 160 companies? I think it's fantastic information. It's a year old. It's only related to Railtown, whereas the rest of it that I've talked about is AI Partners. When you combine them together, you have huge upside targets for Railtown, but you just don't see it because the attorneys just can't finish. Whether that's because the business just gets bigger and bigger, it's because they're working on other cases, or it's because they're bleeding it out. I don't know. I don't know. No one knows. But it'll end soon. What's the definition of soon? I don't know. I would have thought the attorneys would have been done weeks ago. If I had to guess, it's not going to be this week. It'll be next week. So we just have to get through 2 or 3 more days, and we will. Let me see if there's any updates on the Fed. I don't know why that Powell's risk management cut wreaks havoc across the markets. Bad housing data to start the day and chaos around the Fed statement. The Fed is cutting rates and projecting more rate cuts at the same time as upgrading its growth forecasts and nudging up its inflation outlook too. I can see why that's confusing. UBS noticed that during the press conference, Fed Chair Powell got a hard time from reporters who have spotted inconsistencies in the decision and rationale compared to forecasts. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't have been surprised if they left it flat. But anyway, according to UBS, here the Fed has cut rates and has signaled that it, in all probability, will cut twice more this year. Yet against that, it has economic growth speeding up, the jobless rate coming down, and inflation back to just above target at the very end of the forecast horizon. In particular, Powell is being pushed on why the Fed has switched over to the jobs part of the mandate. Indeed, even in Powell's own comments, it doesn't really come across. Powell says, quote, right now the situation we're in is that we see inflation. We continue to expect it to move up, maybe not as high as we would have expected it to move up a few months ago. Powell described his action as a, quote, risk management cut. Powell says revised job numbers mean the labor market is no longer solid. and the move to more neutral position will presumably be helpful to the labor market. That's ridiculous. Powell says there wasn't widespread support at all for a 50 basis point cut today. 7 of the 19 members see no more rate cuts this year, and that means 12 of now 19 see at least one more cut. Anyway, I don't know. I think it's all questionable. Let's see what's happening in London with President Trump. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, there's a shooting. Melania beams alongside Trump and Camilla. That's pretty neat. But of course, the Daily Hate focuses on Trump's hands. They can't leave him alone. That's a pretty good picture. All right, I think I'm done for the day, and I appreciate everybody signing in. I wish you all peace, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. I have a feeling we're going to have to wait till next week for any news. I don't know to me, it'll be good news, and most companies like to do that at the beginning of the week. That's as sophisticated as my analysis goes. So anyway, ciao, everybody.